In this video, I'm going to talk about how to measure plastic in your body and then how to fix it. When I say plastic, I'm talking about small particles of plastic, not BPA chemicals or phthalate chemicals, which are chemicals found within plastic. Also, antimony is in plastic. That's a heavy metal. It's very dangerous. We're talking actual plastic particles. And the technology on this is in Michigan, where I'm from. This guy's about an hour and a half north of where I live. And he's got a lab in Michigan and in, I think it's the Netherlands. So in the Netherlands, he has a lab where you have to poke your skin, and then it's a dried blood spot test. But in Michigan, it's a saliva test, and he just launched it. So I'll give you all the answers at the end of this video. If you want to just skip to the end, go right ahead. I've heard all kinds of ideas about how much plastic we have in our body. I've heard we have as much as a credit card in our body. I've even heard that we consume as much as this much in a year, like a plastic bag or a plastic fork. These plastic particles are in our water, and if you eat food that's stored in plastic containers, then you'll have microplastics and nanoplastics in your body. If you drink from a plastic water bottle, you'll have plastic in your body. So everybody's got plastic in their body. It's been shown that they cause a lot of harm. So the federal government is now launching a new program, and it's called STOP, which means Systemic Targeting of Microplastics. So they're spending $114 million, and the big question is, can we identify plastic in the body? We know that it causes a lot of harm, and then can we get a solution for that? So the first part of this program is 2 years. They're going to develop lab measurements, which already exist. I'll tell you that at the end. So they're asking for a lot of help from a variety of people, and in the month of April and May, they're going to accept proposals, and we shall be very happy that they're actually now addressing this. At the same time, they're launching this documentary on Netflix. It's called The Plastic Detox. And I didn't watch it. I'm not going to watch it. But during the trailer, they're saying that they have like 5 couples that are infertile. And they're trying to determine that if they pull all the plastic out of the kitchen and out of the house, will it improve their fertility? And I'm going to tell you right now, the answer is no. Because the plastic's in the body. You got to detox it out of the body. Let's hear what RFK Jr. has to say about this. This has been a target of theirs since last year. So this is one of the next things that they're going to tackle, along with fluoride. And you've seen them tackle a variety of health issues in our country. Now they're going to focus on plastic.
Plastic has become embedded in modern life. It's also become embedded in the human body. Researchers have detected microplastics in human blood, lung tissue, liver, kidneys, and human placentas. Studies have found them in more than 80% of people tested. One analysis estimates that the average person ingests tens of thousands of microplastic particles each year through food, water, and air. Another study reports concentrations in the brain equivalent by mass to roughly a spoonful of plastic in every human brain. And this number, by the way, has gone up by 50% since 2016. And in a study of 62 placentas, every single sample contained microplastics, evidence that exposure begins before birth. This is not a rare exposure. This is baseline. We are not dealing with a distant or theoretical risk. We are dealing with a measurable and growing presence inside the human body. And the signal is getting stronger. Animal studies show that microplastic exposure can drive inflammation, cardiovascular damage, impaired cognition, and tumor growth. Human data raises parallel concerns. Diseased tissue consistently shows higher concentrations of microplastics than when compared to healthy tissue. In one major clinical study, patients with microplastics detected in arterial plaque faced a 4.5-fold higher risk of heart attack, stroke, or death in less than 3 years. We do not ignore signals like that. We investigate them.
So you don't have to wait for the federal government to test your plastic in your body and to resolve it. And this is the lab that I ran in November 5th of 2025. And you can see that plastic has been detected. At the top here, right above me, it says less than 10 micrometers. And I have 6 of those particles detected. 10 to 30 micrometers is 17, and 30 to 70 is 2. So we have small, medium, and large size plastic particles. So nanoparticles would be much, much smaller than this one, the less than 10 micrometers. So these are primarily microplastics. But this is right now the only test that measures any kind of plastic, and it's readily available for you to use. So my particle count in total was 25, right above me right here. So this is a saliva test, and saliva comes from blood serum. So from the arteries, there's red blood cells and other things inside that, like fat and water. Well, another word for blood water is blood serum. So the body makes saliva from blood serum. So when you do this saliva sample, you can extrapolate that to the rest of your body. Now there's going to be plastic particles concentrated in deposits in arterial plaquing, for example, causing heart attacks, or in the brain. It's been known that Alzheimer's patients have plaquing in their brain, and there's a lot of plastic particles in there. So where you have pathology, just like what RFK was saying, diseased tissues have more plastic in them. And if you have plastic in your arterial plaquing, then your chance of having a heart attack is 4-fold greater than somebody who doesn't have plastic in their arteries. So this lab is detecting the amount of plastic in your saliva that comes from your blood serum. So there might be more plastic embedded in plaquing in your brain or in your arteries or somewhere else. So let me scroll up a little bit and I'll show you. So I'm at 25. I'm in this blue part right here where my arrow is. So me and a bunch of other people had 21 to 25 particles in their saliva. The majority of people had 1 to 10 particles right there. So let me show you the follow-up. This is November 2025. The next one is March of 2026. So I started a supplement to dissolve the plastic out of my body, and my large particles went from 2 to 0, and it says not detected, whereas before it was detected. And then my medium-sized particles were 17, so they got smaller. There was less of them. That dropped down to 14. But then the very small particles were 6, so they went up a little bit to 11. So it makes sense that this supplement, which I'll tell you about in a moment, it dissolves the plastic particles. So they don't just disappear like a bubble popping in the wind. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller. That's how these work. So my total count stayed the same at 25 right here, just as before. But you can see the shift from large to small. So, and I'm still stuck in this area right here, along with all these other people. So there's just more people who have taken this test now in March of 2026 than in November of 2025. So my goal is to get it down to 0 with these people over here. And so here's the disclaimer, which I feel like I should say. Well, Plastictox, which is the name of the lab, which I'll tell you at the end how to get to it, is peer-reviewed and clinically approved by a CLIA COLA certified lab. Plastictox is not a diagnostic test. Always consult your physician when considering lifestyle changes. All results are from our proprietary combination of kit-based collection and non-extra active manual and automated microscopy performed on dried human saliva samples, dyed, prepped, and reconstituted for evaluation. Plastictox utilizes a proprietary mixture of stains and solvents coupled with cutting-edge developments in imaging to provide quantitative and qualitative levels of microplastics in human saliva. And right here is Alan Morrison. He's the guy in charge of the lab. He's kind of camera shy, but I got this picture of him, and now you know what he looks like. He's the guy that has the lab that measures plastic, and he's got the only lab in the country that measures the spike protein. This technology is in Europe and other parts of the world, but he actually imported the machine that measures spike protein. Now, you may be testing your spike protein antibodies, which is one thing, but to actually measure the protein itself alone, that's a different thing. So he's pioneering that also. As of this recording, that is not launched yet. So here's a paper developed regarding this test that they did with microplastics in a bunch of people. And they use this product right here called Chemzyme from a company called Optimal Health Systems. And that's what I took for 2 months to reduce my particle sizes. And then I need another 2 bottles worth to finish out the rest of the plastic to get that out of my body. So this is the solution for the plastic in your body. If you take 2 a day on an empty stomach, like 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, the intended protocol was 45 days. There were 103 participants before, and 41 had completed both pre and post. This was an exploratory observational design. So there's no blinding and no control group. And you can see that the pre was here and the post was here. So you can see that the total count would drop from 35 down to about 17 in those 6 weeks. So I think if you did another 6 weeks, the idea is that it goes to 0. So it's kind of a weak study, but it was done. And you can see that it was a 51% average total reduction and the 53% reduction in the very, very small particles, and then the 53% reduction in the medium-sized particles. And these improvements were common. 56% of the people achieved greater than 25% reduction. 39% of the people achieved greater than 50% reduction, and 22% achieved greater than 75% reduction. The top 10 responders had reductions up to 97%. Some individuals decreased by more than 450 particles. This is only 6 weeks. Now this person, participant number 75, started at 80 and then it went up to 97. So after 6 weeks, they had more particles because these were detoxing out of their brain or their arteries or something. And then on the third test, their score was 4. This person, number 20, their first count was 10. Then they retested and went up to 16. And then the third and final test was at 13. So they have more to do. They're going to have like more than 3 months of detoxing to do to get all that out. Real biological change isn't always linear, and that's where I'm at. My total count stayed at 25 both times, and I'm going to have to do another 2 months worth and see if it drops down to 4 like this person. So we sell out of my office this lab test. It's called Plastictox. And then we also sell the Chemzyme created by this company, Optimal Health Systems. So you go through 2 bottles of that, recheck with the Plastictox. Or if you want to be really thorough, go through 4 bottles of the Chemzyme, recheck then with the Plastictox to make sure that the job is done. And I want to thank my friend Denise Krebs. She set this up with me. She introduced this information to me. She's also selling the material, as am I. There's only a few vendors that are selling the Plastictox saliva test. So you don't have to be a patient in my office to order Chemzyme or the Plastictox test. So just call the office. I'll put the phone number at the end. I just want to reiterate that the federal government is going to spend $114 million just to find a measurement tool. And I told Alan about this attempt by the government to look for and find a measuring tool of plastic in the body. He already has it. He is reaching out to them. He said that the Mayo Clinic uses Plastictox to find plastic in their patients' bodies. So this is cutting edge, and I'm happy to introduce this to you. Now the question is, are you going to do it for yourself? And we really don't know, like, what are the results going to be? Are you going to prevent cancer? Are you going to prevent or reverse Alzheimer's or plaquing or heart attacks? So what kind of diseases go away when you get plastic out of your body? There's other things that detox also. Don't forget to detox spike protein and mercury and other chemicals and metals. And most of healing occurs by removing all the toxins out of your body. And that is step 6 in my 7-step blueprint to optimal health. And for people to do a really good job of detoxing, you have to clean out your gut, which is step 4, and get rid of organisms like parasites and mold and bacteria, which is step 4 and 5. In order to do that, you have to do step 3 to prepare for that. Step 2 is mitochondrial function increase and energy increase. When you're done detoxing in step 6, then you go to step 7, which is cleaning out the cells. Detoxing plastic is one aspect of improving your health, just like getting rid of parasites and eating a good diet and taking B vitamins. So it's not just a one and done thing. You have to know the whole system. It's a step-by-step process. And if you need help beyond what I tell you on YouTube, if you need personal help, then contact the office and become a client of the office. There are 11 healthcare providers in my office, and we know all the stuff. And don't forget, you have to detox your house of plastic too. Plastic bags, saran wrap, plastic food storage containers, cutting boards. Go with glass and other natural products. And if you need personal help, contact the office.